Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and the worst thing that can possibly happen to the digital asset investor happened this morning. And many of you can probably guess what that is. That is running out of coffee. And the worst part about it is I knew that I was out of coffee when I went to bed last night, and I still did not, I was too lazy to go do anything about it. And so this morning I woke up and I paid the price. I had to roll right out of bed and go straight to the grocery store. Now I've seen all of these videos and all where places like Amazon are testing out drones for drone deliveries and that type of thing. Well, my advice to Amazon or to the grocery stores or anybody who is looking into drone delivery, start with coffee, because there are literally millions of us out here who start to freak out when we don't get our coffee in the morning. And so if you want to, if you're going to start drone delivery, do it with coffee, cigarettes, and anything else that's an addictive product first, because you will find plenty of success. There's always going to be someone who's willing to pay a little more for a drone delivery to have their coffee or their cigarettes or whatever it is that you're into delivered. I'm sure that before it's over, marijuana is now coming across the country. I was talking to a friend the other day about how he buys marijuana stocks and all this, and what I'm hearing is that now, like in California and Colorado, it's almost like going to Amsterdam now. And so before long, I'm sure that we will be able to push a button and have drones deliver coffee, marijuana infused coffee. Who knows what's coming? But anyway, but I did get my coffee this morning, so we are in good shape. Don't worry. Okay, this was interesting. This was going around yesterday. This is from Otto Gunger, and it's my reveal. Now I talked about it the other day. What this is probably a PR campaign, but this person, and you can go to Ivy McLemore's blog to find this. This is that's IVYMCLEMORE.com/blog. Now, to my knowledge, I don't think that he comes out and says who he is. But this is a big, long write-up supposedly by Satoshi Nakamoto called My Reveal. And it goes into all sorts. It shows articles that talks about the history of how Bitcoin was created and all this. He even refers to he tells you how he came up with the term Satoshi Nakamoto, the alias. He says that Hal Finney is his friend. I don't think that he comes out and says who he is, or he even has a picture of the computer that he said he used to create Bitcoin. And then at the bottom, it says part 2, ciphers encryption and and he's going to, in the next thing on Monday, today at 4 p.m., he's going to talk about ciphers encryption and his 980,000 Bitcoins. So I think this is one huge PR scam, or not scam, PR, it's like some kind of PR campaign, but in any event, it's genius if it is a PR campaign, and if it's not, it's going to change the world. So either way, it's going to be interesting, and I'm sure they're getting a ton of views right now on that. Okay, the crypto utility guy at UtilityGuy7 sent me this. China, remember, since I got into this in 2013, all we've heard, China's going to ban cryptocurrencies. China is cracking down on Bitcoin. China is this, China, all this scary stuff. I've said since 2013, and I've said on this channel, China's not banning anything, Russia's not banning anything, India's not banning anything. None of them are, not because they wouldn't want to, but because they can't. And I think they realized a long time ago that they can't. Therefore, these markets are going to be huge, and they're going to add a lot to this market over time. But China, this article is not very meaty. It doesn't have a lot to it, but it just basically says that China they're going to create an economic zone, Shenzhen Special Economic Zone, to include digital currency research. It says it's going to be a special zone. It'll support the research and promotion of digital funds and the national cryptocurrency that's going to be based on the renminbi. I think that's how you say it. So, yeah, they're gonna have like the way we have in the United States, the research triangle, like up and around Duke and UNC and all that. They're creating one just for digital assets. Now, why would they be creating something like that for something that they're gonna ban? That's confusing, isn't it? Mr. B, XRP at XRP, Mr. sent me this one. This was an exchange that I thought was interesting between Mr. B and, no, he sent me two things. I'll show that next. Okay, now I want to mention something. One thing, now remember, yesterday XRP led the way with all digital assets, and it was up as high as, I believe, 9% at some point during the day. But what I've noticed is, and this has happened every time XRP either moves or there's even a whiff of XRP moving, this begins to happen. You begin to see all sorts of FUD articles from Forbes and everybody else that you can think of. You begin to see all kinds of tweets to try to scare people. I started noticing an increase in this type of thing after the MoneyGram announcement, and I think it's because these guys now know. But the crazy part is once utility on XRP actually kicks in, it's not going to matter what they say, because utility is what it is. It's not speculation. Now, they may be able to make the price go up and down on XRP occasionally by scaring people and all this, but I don't think it ever works. But I think that they have to continue to do it because they know that their precious Bitcoin is not even in the ballpark with XRP. But it's kind of fun to watch, and fun to watch people make fun of how stupid what they say is. This guy says, it should be pretty clear by now that the banks are most likely not going to adopt XRP. They will likely just make their own stable coins, as has been occurring. They might use Ripple Tech, but not XRP, not the XRP asset. Actually, exactly, if you're paying attention, exactly the opposite of what this clown is saying is true. It's pretty clear that banks are moving in the direction of using XRP. In fact, I pulled a video clip. There was a video clip, maybe it was last week, and it was from there was a bunch of guys in Saudi Arabia on stage. And I even titled it in my video. The guy who's the Saudi Arabian banker, he says, we're using Ripple software, and he says, we're not using XRP, the digital asset. And then at the end he goes, yet. And so it's easy for clowns like this to say this type of thing, but the only reason they're able to say it right now is because the regulations are not in place. In fact, the people at Ripple all the time talk about how in certain places, select places, regulations are beginning to get worked out. But until they're worked out, you might have to do what we've talked about before and do an end around and use something like MoneyGram, which has been talked about by David Schwartz. But at some point, these regulations are going to be in place. And at that point, I'd love to check back in with some of these guys. And what this guy said was hilarious. Please let Jesus save you from this tweet. This guy will be made to look like a moron. I'm looking forward to it. Also from Mr. B, we got this. And this was his exchange with Bob Way. He says, hey Bob, I've been wondering if you are still accumulating XRP, if you care to share. And then Bob Way says, I've said a lot in the past. I have 80% of my net worth tied up in XRP-backed assets, XRP and Ripple stock I'm holding. Most people encourage me to de-risk my portfolio by rebalancing its mix. Not a single person has encouraged me to accumulate more. Well, nobody's encouraged me to accumulate more either, but I do. But this right here is what tells me everything I need to know. Remember, this is the same guy who said less than a month ago that he was in the same room with David Schwartz and Arthur Brito. Arthur Brito and David Schwartz both left. Well, Schwartz is still the CTO of Ripple. But Brito left and became and I think he's one of the executives at PolySign. PolySign, you can check that out at polysign.io, I believe. But these guys are all in the game. Now, remember, PolySign is a custody company, institutional custody company. You'll be hearing that name a lot more in the near future, I believe. But Bob Way is still 80. What would cause this guy to still be? He's left this company a while back, but he's still 80% in XRP. His net worth 80% in XRP and Ripple stock. That is telling to me. And he's able to be in the same room with the two guys that created XRP within the last month. You think that guy knows anything that he's not allowed to talk about? I do. XRP Honey Bear at C_Mike13 sent me this. I just wanted to show you how the world is burning around the world. Southern Africa leaders call for the removal of sanctions against Zimbabwe, where more than 120 people were arrested last week in protests sparked by an economic crisis. And then there's this from Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29. Sent me this. Look at this. This is the rain. The rain has started to pour in Hong Kong. This is yesterday, but that hasn't put off thousands of protesters huddling under umbrellas in Victoria Park. The park is so full, many are spilling out onto the surrounding streets. Does that look like a problem over there, folks? That looks like chaos, is what that looks like. And then we have former Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan says, if U.S. bond yields turn negative, it's not that big of a deal. Now remember, this is one of the core guys that got us into this mess, first of all. But the second thing is, I showed you a video clip not too long ago. This same guy, he says, oh, well, the U.S. will never have a problem paying its debts because we can just print more money. That's how that guy thinks. So it might be time. He should have been put out to pasture a long time ago, because these guys, when the history books are written, those guys are the bad guys. I don't care what anybody says. White House trade advisor Navarro, now this guy's just in denial. Technically, we did not have a yield curve inversion. He says an inverted yield curve requires a big spread between the short and the long, Navarro said. All we have had is a flat curve. It's a flat curve, which is a very weak signal of any possibility. What this guy reminds me of is that Iraqi, I think it was during the Gulf War. He was the Iraqi communications guy, and he became a big joke because he would go to the microphone talking about how there's nothing to see here and there's bombs going off and smoke going up in the background. It was a hilarious thing. Okay, next. This is from Ticket Attorney at Fixed Tickets Vegas. Sounds like a good guy to know. He sent me a picture. Apparently this company Hilt has got cryptocurrency ATMs all over Las Vegas. I decided to go and look at them. They've got just locations everywhere in Las Vegas. And I found them on Twitter too, if you want to ask them when they're going to add XRP, because it looks like now they have Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Dash. But these guys need to have some XRP action on those things. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that Hilt Ventures might want to add some XRP. Thanks for listening.